So Earth Day Network decided to reach out to teachers in multiple countries to bring them together in a digital platform in the form of a webinar to discuss how best to give digital lessons to encourage individual action, to have hands-on as well as research assignments and how to monitor these. I'm sure all of you are facing these challenges, and with internet being very spotty and not as wide as in other countries, it is definitely a challenge for a lot of people. And so this present situation is going to go on. I don't think it's going to change very soon. The lockdown is still very much on in most countries. And so the teaching methods are going to have to change. And we are going to definitely go more digital. And so EDN wants to help teachers to make their classes more interesting, less rote-based. And we know that teaching environmental literacy, which basically means taking environmental awareness towards action and making students responsible citizens and be more engaged, have civic engagement, is what we want of them. And I know that Earth Day is a very important day and it's commemorated by most schools on April 22nd, and not just on April 22nd, because we say Earth Days every day. And at least in India, we know that schools all across, whether they're in rural areas, in urban areas, whether they're international schools or others, they commemorate Earth Day on April 22nd, and sometimes even for a week. We have this competition called the Morning Assembly Contest, and we get pictures from reports from the schools of how they are going green, how they are commemorating Earth Day, whether through poster making competitions, whether through skits, whether through presentations, debates, exhibitions of recycled, upcycled products. So we have been getting all these reports. And this year was the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, but it was a digital Earth Day. And but we still got some reports from schools who are a regular part of our network. And even our Earth Day commemorations were a digital one. And we had about 3 days of commemorations with concerts, talks, discussions online. And you can actually go and see these on our Earth Day Network YouTube page, which has voices of youth all across South Asia pledging for the environment. It's called My Future, My Voice. So all these things are available along with toolkits on our Earth Day Network website, earthday.org, on our Facebook pages, Earth Day Network India. We're also strong on Instagram. And we also have a YouTube, which has our various videos. And the latest thing during the lockdown period was recipes using leftovers, peels, and scraps, which is part of zero waste cooking, basically, so that we teach environmental awareness, from the kitchen onwards, because everybody is at home. You teachers are doing an amazing job keeping the children occupied while we are still trying to attend office online. So I'm really, really thankful to all of you for the work you do, which is amazing. I know all of you have been facing amazing challenges. Pratiksha, are we all now visible? Can we?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So I think we have managed in this first, which is going to be a series every Thursday at 4 o'clock. We are going to have a webinar. Today we have teachers from Brunei, from Bangladesh, from Dubai, and from India. And I'd like to first take you to Dubai, to Asha Alexander, who is the CEO and principal of GEMS Education, which is an academy that actually went digital even before the pandemic forced all of us to go digital. So Asha, would you like to tell us the challenges you faced then? Because right now it's not a challenge for your teachers. So tell us more about how you prepared your school for this.
Yes, it is wonderful to be speaking to all of you. First, good evening or good afternoon, wherever you are in whichever part of the world and viewing us. Before I begin, I would like to quote Albert Einstein, who says that the world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who stand by watching them do that. And if the world is going to get affected by climate change, We all have to be responsible in making sure that we make those changes. And during the pandemic, it's a hard time. Many schools had difficulty transitioning from one mode of teaching to another. But to take you through our journey, I have prepared a short presentation which I will share with you, and hopefully you will understand the story and the message that we have here from Dubai. So our story begins, our KGS vision is laying foundations for life through the continuous pursuit of excellence. So we try to promote creativity, innovation, and critical thinking. And that took us on our journey from 2011 when I joined, 2012 to 2018. We started a pilot project. Our school was a typical CBSE school delivering a textbook approach. We changed the textbooks. We went digital in transaction of our curriculum. And over those 6 years, we had students bringing their own devices to school. So when the pandemic occurred, we were already in a position where we were looking at augmented reality, virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and gamification. So the transition from that mode to the present has been very seamless. It was easy for us because our students were already familiar with the platforms. And some of our achievements include Digital Citizenship Certified School. We were a Microsoft Showcase School for the last 4 years. We have 150 Microsoft Innovative Expert Educators. And that was really a proud moment for us when 150 of our staff members became Innovative Expert Educators. But what was particularly pleasing was to receive from His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the ruler of Dubai, a recognition which was given only to our school as the one who supported philanthropy. Now, I think generosity of heart is something that we must have if we have to be kind to the earth as well. And so the next picture you see is a school that we built in Malawi for these children. It becomes very tangible when children can see the plaque on the walls, which says their contribution, their generosity have given an opportunity for hundreds of children to go to school. So we are in touch with this school and we are helping to promote environmental literacy in the schools that we build. We have built another one in Palestine. For the last 6 or 7 years now, we have been eco school, which means we gave them platforms to become plastic free, promoted solar energy. Children were recycling wastes of all kinds. So there were plenty of platforms, beach cleanups, but I felt there was something missing. And that something missing was because the literacy hadn't reached the classroom. Then we got on to ensuring that every teacher, every staff member, not just in our school, became literate in environment. They did a certification course from UNCC and teacher in every of our 162 classrooms. Here's a short video. Our journey with Educate Global and UNCC Learn began around 5 months ago, but its impact has been very far-reaching. I was interested in climate literacy way before I came across this course because the climate in my home state of Kerala had changed unduly over the past few years. We witnessed floods of a proportion that we had never seen before. With this in mind, I undertook the course, which was being promoted by Harvard Education, by Melanie Harwood, in association with UNCC Learn Academy. And I found the course to be very useful and informative, so I passed this on to my teachers. It spiraled from there to have all 327 staff members at my school certified by UN as climate change teachers. This brought the attention of UNCC Learn and Educate Global to what we were doing at the kindergarten starters. We did not want it to end with just the certification.
So we undertook to teach climate literacy in all of our 162 classrooms. To make this even better, 68 parents of ours also completed the certification. So today, we are the first UNCC certified climate change school in the world.
The curriculum should steer away from departmentalization and head towards being more holistic with meaningful connections. At KGS, real-world themes like forensic science, climate literacy, and space exploration are the need of the hour and are embedded within the curriculum to provide a highly contextualized setting for multisensory and extensive learning.
I can relate the sea level rise to the recent floods that happened in Kerala and Mumbai last year. And I didn't know climate change was so frightening.
This integrative education practice is not only a hands-on participatory approach, but is also poised to situate languages, mathematics, science, and even liberal arts in a broader cross-disciplinary framework.
Sustainable cities are the need of the hour. With us approaching Expo 2020 and a future where natural resources are depleting, we are hoping that AI and robotics will help us develop a cleaner and long-lasting environment to live in.
Okay.
No.
The Guardian with Richard Sprenger came to Dubai to cover our school, and this was an occasion where we had gone with 40 organizations to plant trees. The occasion was called Plant a Legacy. And in this, children from different schools in Dubai and all over the world joined with us to plant trees. And so Richard asked me, why would you want to plant trees in the desert?
It's sort of an odd thing, isn't it, planting trees in the desert? Surely it can't support a forest.
Nobody's tried, and I'm going to try. It's not about the tree planting. It's if that seed is planted in their minds and their hearts and they are moved, then there's plenty of hope out there.
We can't believe that a 16-year-old is changing the environment around us. Greta Thunberg is still on action, and she's trying to save the world and spread more awareness and get it into people's minds that we have to save the world.
And I guess before she arrived, children probably didn't feel like they had any power.
You get some encouragement and some motivation to do things that you really think you can't.
That's great.
1, 2, 3. Tree!
Okay, so Educate Global's mission is to put a climate change teacher in every classroom all across the world, and I was passionate about that too, and that is where we found a common ground. So here's a classroom where the children are being taught about wasting water, and it is not just about planting trees, it's about whether this kind of learning is happening within the classrooms from the kindergarten all the way up. So there were several things where children were showing them how they can print food using a 3D printer, how they had designed a watch to measure temperature without going outside. So children were telling Melanie that they were inspired by Greta Thunberg. After this, she actually gets to meet all of the parents because we wanted to show that the impact has not just been with the students. Through the students, the parents had been hugely impacted. And they say that whatever we've taught them has impacted their learning. I managed to continue this interaction, and I was at COP25, and this is a lady from Zambia.
My question is, the content which you have, do you modify it to suit the different agroecological zones? Because climate change in our country is impacting different areas of the country differently.
What you need to do is, the courses may be general in nature, the lesson plans may be generic, but they are tweaked according to your circumstances. When I say curriculum, curriculum is everything that happens to a child in the school. It's the sum total of the experiences the child has. And the most relevant experiences are those that happen around the child. So the teacher adapts the curriculum to the needs of the child. So if you are in Italy, it may be different. If you're in Belize, you're different. If you're in Zimbabwe, you might want to look. But personally, I think all of our children should have an understanding of all the climate-related emergencies across the world as well. It's fine to educate children about their immediate surroundings because that's where they can apply their learning. But there is a very felt need that it should go past all boundaries, and children should start thinking and acting like global citizens.
I had the opportunity to meet with Ban Ki-moon, the erstwhile Secretary General of the United Nations, when he came to Dubai to attend one of the Model United Nations in one of our schools in GEMS. And this is Minecraft being used in the classroom by children as part of their learning. So even if they can't go out, they can show how they can preserve, they can manage their environment through devices such as Minecraft. So children bring their devices. Here children are learning about classification of vertebrates and mammals and amphibians, and the student has created a zoo where he's taking you around and he's going to show you, and then he talks about all the different animals, and it becomes practical for them when they get to do this. And I will just have to end with some very fantastic quotes by children. And I think if this is the impact we've had, then there's much more that the world is going to see. So this boy, Fuzail, says, pretty soon when everything fades away, the footprints that we leave behind will be the only ones that stay. Emmanuel says, if we don't eradicate climate change now, our future will be drastically affected. Here is Ifla saying, enough of debates and discussions. It is time to put those words into action. The best thought you have had is to do something for the environment. The second best thought will be to actually do it. And finally, Kavya says, the climate is changing. Why aren't we? And that's a good question. And I'm hoping that all our viewers will make sure it's not enough for one person to act, one individual to act, one school to act, one region to act. I believe the world must pick up and start acting. It is not enough for our leaders to act. We must become the leaders. We must let children lead in every classroom, every school, and every teacher. So it's not about competition, it's about collaboration. And Earth Day Network is doing a fantastic job of bringing together diverse educators from all over the globe. Nothing could make me happier than to see what fantastic work each of you is doing in the different regions, and to all of you watching. It's not just about us, it's about each and every one of you, the 195 who've logged on and the 196. I hope that after this, you will be impelled to acting and to making sure that the world is greener and safer because you've taught our children to lead the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Asha. And I'd like to mention that it is one of our children activists, one of our rising stars, 8-year-old Lysipriya, who connected us to you.
Yes.
Lysipriya is awarded what we award. It's called a Rising Star Award. It is for under 25 children. And she's also part of another campaign that we have called My Future, My Voice, which brings these youngsters who are actual climate activists together so that they can pledge to do something for the environment. And we are just a platform to bring them together, to help them connect and be bridges and work together for the future. We have another very interesting program. Since yours is called GEMS Academy, I wanted to mention that we have a campaign called GEMS, which is actually Green Environment Monitors. And just as you have an environment monitor, and as you said, you have a climate teacher in every class, we want schools to start having these young gems in each classroom so that as green environment monitors, they check whether there are leaky taps in their schools, whether they can convince the schools to start rainwater harvesting, to maybe do an organic garden, maybe to have a compost pit, maybe to have a butterfly garden. The possibilities are endless. I mean, the children spend so much time in school. Right now, they can't do that. So they're actually, we have to try to motivate them to do the same thing at home. Our next presenter, panelist is Shubhadas Malik of a very innovative learning hub called Vichitra Pathshala, and they have been our partners for the last 7 years on another very interesting campaign of ours called Earth Reel, which is an environmental filmmaking competition. And this year, because everybody is stuck at home, we are calling it Digital Earth Reel, and we've gone beyond Calcutta where it started and Delhi where it continued to all over India, and we're even introducing it in 8 different languages of India. And we've opened it up not only to school students, but also college students, because they're also home right now. And we would like Shubhadi to tell us a bit more about this and other campaigns that she does, and perhaps start with an explanation of what Vichitra Pathshala means.
Neela introduced me as a member of an organization called Vichitra Pathshala. Now, Vichitra Pathshala, literally, if you do a literal translation, Vichitra Pathshala means school of strange activities. But actually, we are not a school as such. We are a kind of platform, a hub of like-minded people, like-minded teachers and educators who have come together, and we try innovative pedagogies and doing different kinds of activities to take the learning curve up, etc. So when we got in touch with quite early in our career, when we were established, we got in touch with Karunadeep and Earth Day Network, and we started collaborating with them. We started working together, and we initiated this project called Earth Reel, to begin with, among the students of Kolkata schools. But Karunadeep also took it outside Kolkata to Delhi. Now, before coming to this, what Earth Reel is and what we have learned from Earth Reel, a little bit about how environmental education came into India. So, United Nations has been talking about this. This is an excerpt from the 2016 UNESCO report, that it is only through education that you will open their minds, teach them skills, concepts will be clear, etc., etc. But much before that, in 1986, during Rajiv Gandhi's government, the new education policy was drafted. And then in 1992, there was this program of action, plan of action to implement the new education policy. That is when it was defined, it was clearly stated that environmental education has to be formally made a part of the curriculum. And that's when books on environmental education started being written. People were called, experts were called, they started writing books. And it started in a small way in the 1990s itself. Environmental education started in schools and colleges. In colleges, it was a 50 marks compulsory paper for all subjects, which they had to pass. In order to graduate, they had to pass this paper on environmental education in colleges. In schools also, environmental education as a subject came up. Now today, it has changed, it has constantly evolved. And today, as the things stand, that in several universities all across India, both at the undergraduate as well as the postgraduate level, there is this compulsory paper on environmental studies or environmental science. They call it EVS. All right. And so whether they're studying management or media or anything, they have to, this EVS paper is compulsory, and it's a 100-mark paper where they are taught about soil, air, water, sound pollution, about biodiversity mapping, as well as the international agreements and the protocols that have been passed. Okay, so this is what in the higher education, it is a compulsory component. And in schools, what is there in the schools? At the primary level, they study all the sciences under EVS. They don't study physics, chemistry, biology separately at the primary level. So they have this EVS subject where they get to know themselves and their environments better through these basic sciences. So that is at the primary level. And at the higher levels, what happens, environmental science or environmental education doesn't exist as a separate subject, but it is integrated with all subjects. As you can see, this geography paper, a geography textbook, it is called Guide to Geography and Environment. This is life science and environment. So it is, environment is integrated with the other subjects. And this is that the Supreme Court ruling in 2003. The Supreme Court ruling was that environmental education has to be integrated, and so these 300 million students are receiving environmental training according to the UNESCO study that it is happening, but not as a separate subject. It is integrated with other subjects. So this NCRT, they conducted a study that how this and what kind of things about environment are they learning at different levels. And this is what came out through the study, that at the primary school level, these are the various things they are learning. I mean, it's quite a bit actually. Familiarization with one's own body, awareness about one's immediate surroundings, importance of trees and plants, familiarization with local birds, animals. So as you can see, caring for pet animals. So it's quite a bit, okay, they are learning. So this NCRT study has revealed this. This is from the middle schools. Again, it is quite a bit. So here it's a little higher. The study about various forms of energy, about nuclear energy, the radiation hazards, gas leak, wind power, bioenergy, environmental laws also they learn a little bit. And of course, wildlife for protection, use of fertilizers, pesticides. Okay, so they go deeper and learn about all these issues that are plaguing our existence, that are creating different kinds of problems. Okay, and then at the high school level, it is even more elaborate. And these are the various things that they learn. Okay, so now how have we, Vichitra Pathshala and Earth Day Network, we decided to intervene in the year 2013. We came together. And how did we decide to intervene? So we asked ourselves that how to transform the students' theoretical knowledge into a lived experience. Something that they study in the textbook is one thing, but something that they experience in their life, that is another thing. So how to transform that, or how to make them realize the significance of these environmental issues in their everyday lives. Okay, whatever the increasing carbon footprint, the global warming, how it is affecting them in their everyday lives. So they have to realize that. Okay, and then obviously how to make them agents of change. So my previous speaker in GEMS Academy, how very nicely she said that the students actually transform their parents, and the parents came and said that we have learned a lot from our school. So the students, the children will be the agents of change, how to make them agents of change. And thus, out of these concerns, this Earth Reel was born. Earth Reel is a filmmaking competition, environment-related filmmaking competition. And Earth Reel rode on the rising wave of this film mania gripping the school students. Because this was the time, 2012, around 2012-13, when all the school students were encouraged to make films. In the various school festivals and other competitions, there was this filmmaking component that was coming up. So that was a new thing, because digital technology had made filmmaking much easier, more accessible. The technology was accessible and it was user-friendly. So school students were taking it up in a big way, and it was coming as a hobby, as an activity which was getting reflected in the school festivals, etc. So we rode on that wave. We said, okay, so since we're making films, try making films on environment issues. And that's how Earth Reel was born. All right. So on this Earth Day of 2013, the first Earth Reel was announced. So we collaborated with an institute called ILEAD. They hosted that entire program. So students of about 20 Kolkata schools, they were given an orientation. Okay, and they were told to do thorough research on a chosen subject. Various issues were discussed with them, and we told them you choose something that really concerns you. You divide yourself into groups, and then you do a thorough research on the subject, and you come up with a research finding, a research paper, and with that, a short film. And they were given 4 months time to complete the work, because Earth Day is 22nd of August, and then the final presentation we had in the third week of, sorry, Earth Day is 22nd of April. The final presentation we had in the third week of August. So that gave them clear 4 months to do the research, write down their research findings, and also make a short film. So that was their brief. So these are some glimpses of this Earth Day orientation. This is Devika Kaur. I hope she's there among the audience. She is the Joint Secretary of Vichitra Pathshala. So she is giving an orientation here. Karuna Singh is giving an orientation. She's talking about the foundation of Earth Day Network. I think this person is the founder of EDN, Earth Day Network. She's talking about that. So here different experts are giving presentations on the day of the orientation to, open the students' minds on the different issues, because each year EDN has a different theme. So I think this particular year, this was 2018, yeah, and it was plastics that particular year. So they're talking about, the experts are talking about plastic pollution. And then on the final day, the students have to come up, they have to give a presentation. So we tell the students that, okay, when you do your research, obviously you will do your secondary research on the internet, because internet is full of information. So your necessary information you will get on the internet, but do not confine your research only to the internet. You have to do hands-on research and you have to collect some primary data. All right. So whether it is in the form of composting, whether it is any other form, whether it's, you have to do some field visit and gather data, interview people, etc. Whatever, you have to get some primary data which will be part of your primary research. So we had told them, so obviously there was 4 months is a long time. So they did the necessary things. And before screening their film, the students had to make their presentation of the research work and also the process of filmmaking. And this is a panel of jury. This is, I think, in the year 2016. Dhruvodjyoti Ghosh, who is an expert on East Calcutta wetlands, he is no more with us now. This is a filmmaker, Anandi Ghosh. Then this is Mallika Jalan. She is also a renowned environmentalist, Amrita Mukherjee. So the students make a presentation to them and they ask questions, difficult questions, which the students have to answer. So if they have done their research well, the students can answer these questions and satisfy the jury. Okay, so that is the process. And then after that, the film is screened. Now we see that over the years, for 7 consecutive years, up to 2019, till we were struck by the COVID pandemic, we had this Earth Week. So what have the students learned through this exercise? First and foremost, they learn about their city. So they visit the East Calcutta wetlands. Maybe they go to this plastic recycling, little plastic recycling factories which are in Tijala, unaccessible places. But if they are doing work on plastic recycling, they have to visit there. So they visit those places. They visit all places maybe they have never imagined that they would go to. So they get to know their city. They know about their neighborhood. For example, one particular school, Lakshmipad Singhania School, it is just opposite Agri-Horticultural Society of India. Now the students had never gone, they didn't cross the road and go to that beautiful complex, the premises of Agri-Horticultural Society of India. But when they decided to make a film on that and to see how much biodiversity is there within the walls of Agri-Horticultural Society, then they went. So they came to know their neighborhood better through this, about the good and bad practices in their own lives. That means the practices that are increasing the carbon footprint, some of the good practices that are bringing it down or keeping it in check, that they could identify on their own. They knew more about the extended family of ants, cockroaches, lizards, and mosquitoes with whom they cohabit in their own homes. They came to know about that. About the daily visitors, a crow visits a student every day in the morning. So what is the crow? At what time does the crow come? What is the crow trying to tell that little girl? So these daily visitors, they came to know more about these daily visitors, about the methodical observations and recording data, and of course the craft of filmmaking, that also they learned, and about the various genres of films which they could use to their advantage. So these are the various things that they have learned. And here I will just give you some glimpses. A few films at random I have just selected. This is a film, a research and a film called A Crow Mirai, which was made by a middle school girl. Maybe she was in class 7 at that time. So a crow used to come and sit at a windowsill in the kitchen every morning. So the girl started observing the crow and then she made a film. Okay, so I will show you a glimpse of the film. So this is something very beautiful. A tree, but I'm not. Oh, acha, the sound. Okay, a tree in my village. Now this is based upon a book written by Paritosh Sen. Okay, so they were now connecting literature with environmental science or environmental study. Okay, so their work was based on a literary work. Achha, this is again biodiversity at your backyard. Okay, so they went and they studied the biodiversity that were visible at their backyard. Okay, from where is this sound coming? I have to do. Right. Yeah. Okay. So I will just play this film. This is about the crow. So I will just play this film here. I hope you will be able to hear this sound.
Right. Every day it comes to my house, perches on the railing, and calls impatiently until I come and give him a biscuit and some water. Sometimes, if my mother or grandmother tries to feed him, he bursts out with rage.
Okay, just a little bit. So basically that crow that she observed, when she made a film, she decided to make an animation film. And the drawing of the crow and this animation, which is done entirely by the child. So she chose this animation format. All right. Now we go to another format, which another group of students have chosen. They chose the news format. They wanted to tell the story like a news report. So again, I play a little bit just to give you an idea.
Today's first study is about the importance of trees in the life of the city dweller. Today, we will take you to the Horticulture Society of India and tell you how the strategic institution is doing to create awareness among the people of India. I'm standing here at the gate of the Agri-Horticultural Society of India, established in 1820, a heaven for horticultural enthusiasts all over the world. Let's take a look inside. Paradise spread over 24 acres in the heart of the city. The Agri-Horticultural Society of India was founded with the set out objectives of development and promotion of agriculture and horticulture in the country.
Yeah, so this Agri-Horticultural Society was just across the road of the school, and they were visiting for the first time because of they wanted to make the film. Okay, so that's how their horizon was open. Okay, this is yet another format where the research was done entirely internet-based research, and they made a film, again animation, so entirely students work 100%. Yeah, okay. So if that was animation, this is something there about monitor lizard, which the student himself has shot. Okay, this is a wildlife documentary. Monitor lizard spotted in his neighborhood. Yeah, okay. Let's see what we have here. All right. Now this was that particular year, it was about biodiversity, and I was surprised. I mean, the variety of films we got, that celebrating biodiversity or lamenting the loss of biodiversity. So perhaps hilsa is a very favorite food of Bengalis. All right. So this loss of biodiversity, it even affects the food on our platter. All right. So this film is about a lament that how hilsa is vanishing, and we have to make do with this tiny hilsa, which is called Pokailish. So the film was made in a funny way, but the research was of course more thorough. So this is a glimpse of the film lamenting the loss of good quality hilsa. Yeah, so lamenting that we have to make do with this tiny hillside. Okay, this is yet another style. This is stop motion animation with objects. This year the theme was upcycling. So with waste things, thrown away things, they're putting together to create something interesting. So they have done it by stop motion animation. Yeah. So this was like a public service spot. The throwaway things can be brought back to life. So basically what we saw that the students were trying out different styles. And at one point of time, we got a little concerned that there more emphasis is going on this filmmaking process. They are getting more and more creative with the filmmaking process. And in the process, the research part, that hardcore scientific research part is taking a backseat. So then we again re-emphasize that no, your 50% emphasis has to be on your research has to be thorough, and of course your filmmaking also has to be decent. So we have to remind them, because naturally filmmaking is so seductive. They tried various methods, and as you can see, there's so many kinds of filmic expressions we got. So this was up to 2019, just some glimpses I gave. Then in 2020, we were all stuck with this lockdown. And so we were at a wit's end that what should we do? So from Vichitra Pathshala, we gave out this notification to all the schools that let us have this lockdown reconnections. That in the lockdown condition, let us rediscover our lives. Let us reconnect our connections that have snapped or on the verge of snapping. And we gave them some ideas that what they can do. Have a new conversation with the grandparents, do some sky watching, try new healthy recipe, try to do something in the balcony, set up a garden in the balcony, etc., etc. We gave them some idea. So we sent out this notification to schools, and 2-3 interesting things that were sent back to us. So here one particular girl, this is a Rasgulla Handi. So she turned this into a compost pit. And after this, she didn't put any soil. This is all rotten vegetable fields, etc. When it turned into compost, she is growing methi saplings here. So overnight, she's soaked with the methi seeds. Next morning, she drank the methi seeds because those are quite healthy. And then she sprinkled this in the compost pit, and then these are the saplings. So this is what one girl has done. Another girl has done a kind of poster sitting in her home, there in the lockdown, the whole world is in lockdown condition. So she is telling everybody, giving the message of cleanliness. And this particular girl, she has written a menu. This is in Bengali verse. She has written a day's menu without cooking. That how to save fuel, how to save energy. So the day's menu, one day's menu in a week, at least one day you can do away. You need not put on the gas burner at all. And this is the menu you can have. So that this she has written in verse. So these are some of the interesting things that we have received as a result of this lockdown thing. So we tried to engage the students gainfully even during the lockdown. And some students have responded, and some results of that we just showed you. So though they can't do field work, though they cannot go out and do group work, but even in their homes, there is a lot to do, lot to explore. Okay, so that's what it is. So that brings my presentation to an end. So thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Shubhadi. We can now go on to Janatul Firdaus Sheila of Vikarunnisa School in Dhaka, Bangladesh, which is probably the largest school for girls in the whole region. Sheila herself was a student there. Now she's head of the English department. She looks after the English club, and she's also counselor in the environmental club. So let's hear from her what all is happening and what all has happened in her school towards environmental literacy.
Thank you, Neela. Thank you very much. Very good afternoon to all the panelists and the audience who are watching, because it is a very exciting feeling that you are being watched by so many people around the world. And you have the opportunity to talk about your school and about the country where you are living in. So many, many thanks to the network for that. I am an English teacher in Vikarna Noon School and College, and the role strength of my school is exactly 26,000 almost. So a girls' institution having students of this huge quantity, I think that this is really a very unique thing in this region. And what we are doing to make our students to make them aware about environmental, to create environmental awareness in them. In 2010, at first, we started thinking about that, and we opened an Earth Club in the school and invited students to become the member. And there was a huge member. We have so many clubs in our school. I myself is the moderator of English Language Club, but jealously we have seen that students were very much enthusiastic to become the member of the Art Club. From class 1 to 12, every class was very excited. And this club from the very beginning started making students aware, because they were, in my country, environment is not a separate subject. It is almost a life ethos, what we have in our everyday life. It is an integrated subject in all our subjects. So it is not something that we are grading separately. So what they are learning things in their books, but what this club wanted to do is to translate those learning into their lives. They started organizing seminars and workshops on holidays. And from one of the workshops, they come to know that how polythene is very dangerous for the environment. So the first work that our club started doing is to make the campus exactly polythene free. In 2010, it seemed very impossible, because everyone was using polythene at that time. Our canteens were giving food in polythene. The vendors, the jhalmuri walas, everybody was using polythene. But the members started convincing them, and after 6 months, Vikarna became a polythene-free campus. And still now we are maintaining that. Everybody is using paper packets, no polythene is there. And we also have campus cops who are the members of the club, who are always having their rounds during the tiffin breaks, or for the openings of the club, for the openings of the class times, that whether the class is neat and tidy, or in the tiffin time, girls are not scattering litters here and there, and they're convincing them to clear them away by themselves. So we are trying to making our girls aware. We are also another thing that has been that Shubhadas' presentation has compelled me to tell, that there are competitions. Regularly, they are arranging competitions of different kinds. There are competitions of writing plays and poems and essays on environmental issues. And what the members have done, that the essays or dramas which become the winners, they enact them. We have a hobby class on Thursdays, which is called house meeting classes, where all the students gather, and they enact those environmental plays in front of all the students. And those plays are so very emotional. I wanted to bring something here to show you how they write them themselves, they enact them themselves. They are the directors of those plays. and those plays make us cry. They make the students very emotional, and they become, obviously, these are very good weapons to make you aware of your climate. On 17th March, when all the educational institutions were coming to have come to a lockdown situation, we started thinking how we can go on with our regular activities of the clubs. And then we thought, at first we thought that this time we'll finish very early, but then we come to know that it is not that much easy. So we thought of taking the advantage of all the free time that our students are now having at home. So we started making the very big ideas to take in smaller parts. Now the club members are exactly meeting on digital platform every week, and they are discussing on a topic. It can be important for Bangladesh, like biodiversity in the hours of Bangladesh, or globally important issues like forestation, plastic uses, and all these things. They discuss about it on that platform for 1 hour, and then after that they publish a perspective writing on that discussion on the online page of the club, and that they also spread what they have learned in this way among all the members. So this is something they are doing every week. The club members are also throwing challenges for the teachers and the students also. Every week it is done. That one of them, I can tell you that they had told the students to gather all the plastics they use for one day, and then say that in the coming week, if they can cut it down for 50%. And we also, the teachers, we took the challenge, and we become conscious. You know, you have taken a challenge, so now you try to consume less plastic, you try to use less plastic in your lives. So in all these ways, the club is doing its work till now. We are in the lockdown situation. We are doing our work in this way. Now, about the school, I have already said that in Bangladesh, environmental education is like a life ethos. It's not a separate subject. In all our subject, it is integrated. When I was supposed to be joining this webinar, I started talking to my colleagues, and not from my own school only, from other schools. And you know, I just wanted to say that we are not that fortunate like James School, that they have been using this digital platform for the last 10 years. And for this lockdown situation, we are compelled to use this digital platform exactly. I am a teacher for last 26 years, but I have never used this platform before. When I'm compelled to, then I have started learning how to take online classes, how to do it, use Zoom and all these things. And but there is a great advanced situation now. We in Bekaunasa Noon School and College, we have already uploaded in our YouTube channel more than 800 classes, online classes from 1 to 12. And my colleagues are saying that they are consciously exactly cultivating the issue of environment, as 5th June was the Environment Day. So many of the assignments were around it. One of the science teachers have told me that she has given an assignment for her students, that they would plant 2 seeds in 2 pots, and one seed will be, one pot will be kept in the cupboard in the darkness, and no water will be given to it, and another pot will be kept on the window pane, and it will be watered regularly. And after a week, she asked her students that what has happened to the 2 pots, and they showed her in the Zoom class that the pot that had been kept on the window pane has been germinated. So that was a lesson of germination. Through these activities, she has exactly taught the students very practically that you need wind and air and sunlight and all these things for the germination of a plant. And so we should make them clean. We should keep them clean. And all this, another art teacher has told me that she was teaching students an art on a woman was bringing water from by a pitcher from a river, and she drew that picture, and she asked the students that, what do you think? Why this water? What will this woman do with this water? And the students replied that they will, she will cook her food, she will drink the water. And she said, if the river water is not clean, then what will happen to her family? And they said that, okay, her family will become sick, they will suffer from diseases of stomach and all these things. So she said, so you can understand that we cannot throw everything in the lake water or in the pool water that you have around your house. You have to be very careful, because otherwise this water will come to your tap and you will have those same problems. So teachers, as teachers, we are trying our level best that we translate the climate literacy into the lives of the students in the lockdown situation also. And about one thing I can say, that in Bangladesh, government is very, very keen to promote climatic literacy into people. In a speech on 5th June, our Prime Minister has addressed the nation and requested all the 18 crore people to plant at least 1 tree in the year and take care of it. And after that, it has become a movement in the country. And in this lockdown situation, we are telling our students to at least plant 1 saplings at home and take care of that. And when this lockdown situation is over, we will love to see what is the result of that. So all these things are being done here in my school, and we are exactly creating the young voices here. And as one of the quotations from Einstein, which I can remember, that we have to change the mindset, what has created the problem. We cannot solve the problem with that mindset. So we need the young voices to be heard now. Our mindset may be a little bit older. So the young generation, we are teaching the young generations, we are giving them confidence so that they can raise their voice and they can be heard throughout. We have students who are now working as environmentalists. They are delivering lectures in even United Nations. So we are being successful in our efforts, I can say.
So now we will go to Brunei, to Anis. Anis Ajamain is our youngest panelist, and she is a teacher of combined sciences and biology. So tell us how you interact with your students to teach them environment, and what is environmental literacy in your country.
So in Brunei, it's there's a few quick facts I can share. So our energy consumption per capita is actually more than developing nations like Japan, France, and Germany by at least 1,300 kilowatts per hour per person. And we actually make about 15.5 tons per capita per year in carbon dioxide emission, compared to 9.1 metric tons in the UK and 7.1 metric tons in Malaysia. So we do have a higher rate of carbon dioxide emission per capita per year. We also consume twice the amount of water as Malaysia and 3 times that of Singapore, at a staggering 450 liters of water per person per day. So, and also lastly, on average, Bruneian produces 1.4 kilogram per day of waste. So this actually translates to about 189 tons of waste produced every year by Brunei, 400 population. So, I mean, when you look at these numbers, you do realize that we do need to do something in the environmental front. So actually, I've been managing an environment, I wouldn't really say a science club, and I do have students who are very passionate, interested in the environment. I want to say hi to Hannah and Marcus if you're listening. So these are my beautiful kids who have been pushing me to my limits, to pursue more environmental activities in school. So they have been quite, I think they've been learning a lot about the environment themselves. It's amazing. And then one day they just came up to me and they were like, Miss, can you please join this camp, please? And I'm like, I actually work about an hour and a half away from the city. So it's, they wanted to go to the city for this camp. And it's not easy because then I would have to bring them over. They actually insisted to join and actually somehow was volunteer to bring them over. And then I was so thankful to have bring them to this camp. So this camp was called Green Leaders Camp. So it's actually a camp that I used to join as a younger person before. So I was an alumni. And it was, when they went in, they came in with like totally limited knowledge on the environment, on Brunei. And when they came out of it, they were so passionate. They came up to me and they go like, Miss, I want to do this, this, and this. And I'm like, oh, hold on. Let's see if I can manage all of this. So what I wanted to say from all these experiences is that actually once you let your students know about these things, they would be more interested and more willing, more passionate to actually participate in, you know, all these environmental aspect of our lives. So yeah, so for me, if you want to encourage, inspire your students, make sure they know all the facts, all what they're doing to the environment. Make sure they know the basic understanding and what action they can do that can sustain the environment for longer time. So as teachers, I feel like we need to be one of those that will say, yes, we can do it. And, you know, try not to say no to their ideas. So before the COVID-19 situation happened, so we sometimes have beach cleanups. We do have some recycling activities that we wanted to start on. We do have this program which we called I think, let me see, it's called the food container. I wrote it somewhere. The lunchbox program, where we were trying to minimize plastic usage in our canteen. So where students bring their own container from home and their own mug or bottles from home to use as refills at the canteen. So we were starting on it actually just before the COVID-19 situation happened, and you can actually see some students starting to follow the trend. So for youngsters, trends are very important. Trends are very important. So actually when one kid does it, the other kid look around and go like, I want to do it too. I think that's pretty cool. So they will start doing it. So that's how actually I started, my students started to implement these things. So communication is actually very important between teachers and students, I find, as a new teacher. So when I ran out of ideas, my new idea banks would be my students. So like when Neela actually approached me on how to encourage environmental literacy among students, even during this COVID-19 time, I was actually struck. I was like, oh my goodness, what can we do? And then I actually approached my students and my colleagues and my friends, what should we do, guys? Give me ideas. I'm running out of ideas. And then some student was just saying, oh, sure, we can do this, 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 and this. And then I was like, one of the ideas that came up to me was that in Brunei, we do this, we do have virtual runs when you do runs on your own. And then one of my students was like, what if we do a virtual cleanup? We can do our usual beach cleanup, but at our own time, while we can still practice social distancing, and we can do it at our own time. And it doesn't have to be everyone together at the same time. Another student was suggesting, oh, to the beach is a little difficult for me. Maybe I can do it just outside my house. Okay, so these are the little things we can do, well, I can do in Brunei. I just think the students are amazing for actually still willing to give me ideas even during this tough time. Yeah, so I think Brunei is we still have a lot to follow. I see a lot of good examples today. I think Asha School is amazing. They've done so much things. Even Subha students amazing. I mean, their students are, I would say, the videos that I saw just now was amazing. So yeah, so I think communication with our students is very important. We should actually just keep on supporting, and every single time a student gives us ideas, I think it's important that we just accept it, and well, accept it with precaution, and and that's how we should live. Lastly, I think in Brunei, I don't know, I think with our kids, friends are very important. So actually, a lot of the events that happen in Brunei are usually advertised through Instagram. So a lot of the programs that I know, I don't know, I'm not sure, as youth, are usually advertised through Instagram. And there are actually platforms on Instagram, NGOs available that actually offers activities and programs for students and for young adults in Brunei. So I would love to say hi to Green Brunei, Rewild, for our environmental NGOs in Brunei. So yeah, so I think that's all I can share from Brunei.
Karuna, who's our Regional Director for South Asia, I'd like you to end the webinar.
I'd just like to say it was so fascinating. I was so fascinated with all that's happening around the world, and thank you to the digital space so that it connects us. Let's stay connected. Let's work together. Stay network. We have network in our name. We would like to work with you, through you, take the message forward. And if there's any way we can help you do that, we would love to do that. But let's all work to not only educate in the traditional way our students, but to inspire them to be stewards for change. And very different from when I was young, when I was told only to study and not take on other responsibilities. But times that have been created by us adults need quick action. So we have a race to hold back before there is runaway climate change. Let's inspire our students to do that with us and through us. And thank you again very much. Please stay in touch. And if there's any way we can help, we would be very happy to do so. Thank you, Neela.
Write to us. Thank you.